Test. Testing 1 2 3. Alright, seems like we're live. Not really sure if we have a chat here. At least I can't see it. Let's see if I can try to fix that. Guess I need to check out my own page. Oh, there we go. Someone liked it at least. Welcome, Marco. Let's see if I can have a chat. Oh, that's rather weird. Because I'm streaming through OBS. And with the other version I can have a chat, but apparently here, let's see. Someone say anything. Just to test this, whether the chat is working or not. So if I just turn on my camera without any broadcasting software, then I do see a chat, but here I don't, so this is kind of annoying. But yeah, so I'll just keep checking the chat, or if I can get a chat, and I'll just start painting. But yeah, so that's my progress on the current Patreon video, or Patreon content for this month. And I just decided to go for a bit of a Facebook footage in between of the parts that I will just, you know, repeatedly paint in the same way that I already showed on the footage. So if you see anything interesting, you could consider pledging for my Patreon, you know, and get all the past videos and all the past PDFs, painting guides. There's quite a bit of footage there already, so the longer the Patreon goes, obviously the more worth it is. But yeah, let's jump into painting. So I'm going to be defining the volumes. Oh, there we go. Hey, Jose, how's it going? Also, yeah, I still have problems with pronouncing Spanish names, so sorry for that. Need to ask Antonio Peña for a bit of Spanish pronunciation help. Yeah, also one thing that's new this month, I'm going to be painting an Ixion Hail on my Twitch stream this month, and everyone that is a patron can win the painted version of that. So between all my Twitch subscribers and my patrons, there's a chance to actually win a painted miniature this month too. So you actually get, yeah, the extra volume of the videos and also a chance to win a painted miniature. And it's the first month that I do this. I'll make it a habit for when the patron does above a certain amount per month, but right now I can't really afford it. I need to work on other projects too. But Patreon keeps growing, and I'm pretty happy, and eventually the pledge level will be unlocked, and we will also be able to give away more stuff more regularly. So, like I said, let's see. This looks a bit grainy. I'll just try and fix that for a second. So, for some reason, Facebook decides to lower the output quality. Maybe reduce the zoom a bit. Sorry, yeah, so putting it on a different, I think now we're okay. Putting it on a different platform, because usually I do stream to Twitch, messes with your settings, so I need to readjust those from time to time. But I think now we're okay. Yeah, guys, don't forget to share the link to the video. That helps me out quite a bit, getting new viewers and getting the videos out there. So thanks if you also share the footage. Yeah, what's everyone working on? Have you been painting today? Since after all it's a weekend. Going for a medium tone here, just keeping the darker color for the shadows. And like I said, the ultimate goal is to achieve something like this in the front. And what I'm actually doing, oh, I forgot to show that. I'm trying to, let's see, can I get that picture in here? Is there an existing one? No, we need a new one. Okay. So I'm trying to reproduce the artwork from the Dark Imperium box here. And I do have it somewhere. Just give me a second. Hey David, how's it going? Yeah, it seems like my video is not really updating, or is it? It's kind of annoying because I can't see chat, but yeah, if you have any questions, put them in chat. Oh, there we go. Hey Kevin. I'll try it like this. What else is here? Oh, there's two Davids. Alright, so let me just find that picture. I have it somewhere. I can show it on a browser actually, now that I think about it. Hold on. Oh, there it is. So this is what I'm trying to recreate. As you can see, I modified the original Space Marine that came with that pattern and that sculpture, and I made a new face, or a new helmet with a new face mask and tentacles coming out and all of that, and also I did the base. There's also a video about that on Patreon, and yeah, this is what I'm trying to mimic. Of course, I'm trying to make it a bit more interesting in the miniature scale, but yeah, I'll also do it in metallics and try to get some really shiny metallics done, and then some residue and patina and all of that. So that's the plan. And this is where we are at, like I said, at the moment. And what primers do I use? I just use the normal Games Workshop black. It worked for me since forever, and yeah, it's actually the except maybe the new paints, you know, the crackle paints and texture paints. I also do use those partly on my bases, but other than that, the primers by Games Workshop are the only product that I really use of them, because they have proven themselves over the years. And yeah, here's also the base that I did. No paint on it so far, but I'm recovering a bit from flu, and I'm now currently getting back into making the monthly Patreon videos. Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of airbrushing, simply because I'm lazy and I just want to paint, and I don't want to prepare my airbrush all the time and clean it and so on. So that's why I don't really use any airbrush primer, and I just use the cans. So those are the primers that I use. And yeah, I've been explaining in my videos why I don't really bother too much with, I mean sometimes, and especially on my Joker. Oops. So on my Joker, I have been using the black and white primer approach, and again also that was just Games Workshop cans. So I've been using the black and white priming approach here, just so that I could get a bit of pre-shading done for, yeah, the rougher areas here for the thicker material. And so yeah, I do switch between the priming methods, but here I just, since I wanted a darker base tone anyway and deeper shadows, I just primed it black and I'm painting over that. Especially also since I'm doing metallics, I would have to repaint those black anyway, since metallics work better over black. Yeah, sorry my voice is still a bit not up to what it should be, so sorry for that. But yeah, again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and don't forget that it helps me if you share this video with your friends. Oh, you're welcome, Kevin. I find setting up the airbrush sometimes takes so long, and then the painting by brush and the joke is superb. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, airbrushing is a hot topic always on my streams, but personally I just prefer to paint by brush. I'm not saying airbrushing is bad or anything. It's a neat tool like any other tools that you can get. Personally, I just prefer brushwork, and yeah, so that's why I don't use it really. And especially, like I said, for priming, I don't really experiment with polyurethane primers and all that. So yeah, that's why I stick to Games Workshop primers. Don't have, well, I have a bit of an experience with other canned primers, and I didn't like those, but the Games Workshop ones, like I said, are really good and never change a winning team. Okay, so having a bit of structural issues here with the green not really covering. Okay, now it's working. And yeah, I don't really bother too much with trying to get a gradient going, because it's going to blend together better in the end, almost by itself. And I still have the darker parts here, as you can see, and I'll shade those down, and then I apply some washes over that, and this will drag the colors together and get me the result of the blending. So right now I'm just setting up the midtone. And then I'll use one highlight tone to set up my lights. Can always emphasize edges a bit, even if they are facing downwards. Give me a second, just need to play around with settings here. How long have I been painting figures? Pretty much new to it, but used to paint model tanks. Yeah, I did start with airplanes at the age of 14, but I didn't do it for long. For some reason, I don't know. I haven't read up on all the techniques that you can do to get better, so eventually I thought I'm bad at it and quit after maybe 1.5 years again. And then I didn't touch any creative stuff other than drawing. But at the age of, I don't know, 20, which is quite a while ago again, I took up Mage Knight, which is not a card game, a collectible miniature game, or was. I don't think it's still, I mean the miniatures are still around, but it's not being published anymore. So that was 15 years ago, and I've been painting on and off since 15 years. I had a few breaks. So for example, from 2009 to 2013 I didn't paint much, but then ever since, really. And yeah, lately I have been sculpting more because it's become more and more my profession. But yeah, since I relaunched my Patreon, I also enjoy painting again. And yeah, so I guess the answer to the question is on and off for 15 years. Of course, in the beginning I've only been dry brushing and the likes, and I've been learning techniques. And 15 years ago it was also harder to get into the hobby than it is now, I think, because nowadays you have all those all this information accessible that you didn't really have back in the days. So yeah, if you do a bit of research on the internet, you can get a lot of resources to get better at painting. Alright, so just stippling on a bit of that highlight color and emphasizing the edges. And we'll have a lot of tonal shift in those colors as I'm going back in with some washes to draw it together, and then also a lot of weathering since it's Nurgle and it's going to be rusty. And yeah, if you're just tuning in, then this is the result that we're aiming for. So just tonal shifts and just residue and different color gradients and cracked layers of paint or armor or whatever you would call it. So I'm back here, I'm setting up the let's say canvas for creating that effect. I'm 55 years old and I've been doing models since around 50 years now. Oh cool, that's quite some time, huh? And I've noticed the market changes for the better within the modern world. I'm also attempting my hand at sculpting, but not getting very far at the moment. You can, I don't know if you know about Twitch, but I do have a a Twitch channel, and I do sculpt regularly there, and can tune in from time to time if you want to. Might want to create an account, and also I do have a lot of YouTube videos. Just look me up as Trolarion and you'll find my YouTube channel too. So there's a lot of sculpting videos. But yeah, there's a lot of fresh blood coming into the hobby, and artists with different backgrounds. So a lot of interesting stuff happening. And also, yeah, you have influx from historical painters and 3D artists, and everyone brings a bit of a fresh perspective. Let's see, like I said, I want to bring a bit of light here. So having one big area where you have a lot of reflections, or not reflections, but light going on in that armor. And then, since this is yeah, somewhat round, well, not somewhat, it's a cylindrical shape, we will have a secondary light reflection there that I'm going to emphasize, just not as light as the other one. Playing a bit with reflections here. I keep saying reflections, and I mean light. Hi, welcome. Just like I said, check out all my outlets. I do everything from painting to sculpting. The only thing that I don't do in this hobby is actually gaming. Also, if you have any questions, you can follow the site. I mean, but I think you do already. So you can just ask me anything, and then if I find the time, I'll just reply. And I can try pointing you towards resources. Okay, so I think this, well, let's add a bit of white maybe. Just to emphasize contrast a bit. I'm usually not a fan of using pure white on highlights. and I just add a bit of white to that mix and just focus on some edges. So here, always make sure that you put the lightest reflection point at a high point, or somewhere where you have a round shape. You would put that in, how do you call it? The knee of the round edge, and obviously also here where we were playing with the maximum light. And again, this will be blended together with a few washes or glazes or whatever you want to call them, just thin coats of paint. Again guys, if you're watching live and if you have any questions, feel free. It's always better with interaction, and that's what I'm here for. Okay, so a few dots and irregular features on the edges, just to make that a bit more interesting. Just make sure that it doesn't look too regular. Hey Terry. Yeah, just say hi if you're watching, then I can give you a shout out, guys. It's really weird, I have to have 3 windows open. One for the preview, one for the chat, and I have another one. I don't know where I have that one. Might as well close it. Okay, so this might be a bit too steep, so let's tone that back. Yes, this is a Games Workshop figure, but I have heavily converted it. Do I have a picture? I think I have one on Twitter. Let me just look it up without the base coat. Not Twitter, Instagram. I'll show you just quickly. But yeah, also, where did I put it? Yeah, so I'm trying to mimic an artwork, the artwork from the Dark Imperium box. So I created a base with a lot of tentacles and custom stone and teeth and all those features. And why did I close that? Oh, here it is. So yeah, let me find the Instagram post. There it is. So this is the conversion. Shows I made the legs longer and recreated this part almost entirely, and also I did a lot of customization on the helmet. It's still missing parts here, and also made bigger eyes, and I tried to mimic this artwork because the actual Games Workshop figure wasn't really what I wanted to paint after I saw that artwork. So yeah, that has been the idea here, and I'm currently editing a video about how I did the resculpting of those parts. Like I said, I made the legs longer. Maybe I should clean my brush in the meantime. I made the legs longer. Yeah, added a lot more detail and recreated those parts, especially where, you know, the teeth are coming out of his body and all the intestines coming out. And then there's also a video on Patreon how I did this. And yeah, I was working on those parts, the videos for those parts earlier, and now I just keep on streaming how I do a lot of the rest. That's just gonna be repetitive, the way I painted this here. It is a new Nurgle figure, yes, but it is resculpted. It's coming from the Dark Imperium box. So the base is a Dark Imperium Nurgle warrior or Nurgle marine. Okay, then I'll work on painting some shadows. So I'm mixing in some blue to the base green, and I'm putting glazes of blue into the shadows, and I'm just slightly touching over all the green areas too. And so I'm using a wet brush for parts where I think the glaze went on too much. And here I'm just aiming for a lot more contrast than we had before. Right, so just slowly getting in more and more contrast, and I feel like with this technique, although it takes a bit longer than maybe wet blending, I have a bit more control over what I do, so that's why I like it and prefer it to most other painting techniques. And again, this might look a tiny bit too bright for Nurgle maybe, but as I continue I'll add a lot of weathering, and that's going to tone it down a lot too. So it doesn't matter too much if we start with yeah, a bit of a bright base color. Yeah, late hours because of family obligations. But how are you, Thomas? Hope you're doing fine. Hope you're not too busy. Oh, someone just followed me on Twitch. Thanks for that. I have my alerts on because I usually use OBS for Twitch streaming. I don't know if you heard that. No, probably not, since desktop audio is not on. So yeah, something I just saw. I want to emphasize this part here. Tiny bit, I forgot this. Then again, getting some contrast back on some edges. Can also highlight this. Okay, glad to hear that, Thomas. Okay, why can I not? Or can I? So yeah, I guess if you have any questions, like I said, don't hesitate to ask. This is meant to be interactive. And I'm here for you. Again, if you're new, this is what we are aiming for in the long run. So what I usually do is I establish the lights and shadows and the volumes, and then I go back in and do some detailing. So oh yeah, I was highlighting this part. Okay, yeah, that's fine. But why November? Do you not have time until November? What's going on there? But yeah, someone asked me why I don't play music. I can't really play any music on Facebook because it would get copyright flagged and then the video wouldn't show up. But yeah, on my Twitch stream I usually do play music. Okay, just shared the video a bit. But yeah, also if you are joining and if you enjoy these kind of things, you can help me out by sharing it and spreading the word about it. More viewers means more interaction, and that usually makes for a lot more entertaining streams. And thanks everyone who's watching. Feel free to show us and tell us what you are working on, maybe right at this moment or just in general. Okay, like I said, I forgot a bit of light here. And then bringing some gradients back together, because those highlights seem a bit harsh. So yeah, like I said, I have more control over the colors and where they go when I do it like this. And that's why I prefer this layering technique. Oh, this looks harsh too, so let's redo this. Just adding a few layers of a bit of a mid-tone. Alright, I think I'm going to add a tiny bit of black to my blue. My bluish green shadow color. And I'm going to blackline a few areas just to have a maximum shadow there. For example here, below those plates. And when I say black line, of course I do mean dark lining, since it's not actually black that I'm using. Just to distinguish those parts from other parts. And emphasize a few shadows. Hey Christian. Facebook is like a spy tool. Can't really hide when you are tuning in. It tells the broadcaster that you're watching, which is kind of weird, but okay. Okay, so one thing that I have to just mention is that usually when I do paint, I use my magnifying glasses, and usually up close like this. So that's why right now I don't care too much about getting everything super smooth. I'm caring more about contrasts and how everything looks from 20 centimeters away. So if I was painting for myself, it would be a bit more carefully, but the general techniques are the same. This is just for demonstration. Arthur, yes it is. I don't know what you're referring to. I talked a lot. Give me a pointer there again, please. Okay, so this looks rather misplaced here, but there's a lot of space between that leg for some reason. It makes it a bit hard to look interesting. Maybe after we're done with the rest, we have to maybe paint this darker. We can try that. And then focus a bit more on the parts that look down or face down. Okay, yeah, it is, like I said, it is in the Dark Imperium box, but it is also heavily converted. So the face part is almost redone completely, and yeah, some of, well, a bit of the body is redone too. Do I have more pictures here? No, I don't. But yeah, oops, that's the wrong scene. Don't crash. So this is my Facebook overlay. The other one was the Twitch overlay. Has a bit more interaction. But yeah, you can get the base of what I have here from the Dark Imperium box. Right, so in the front I did go for the edge being the point of contrast, so maximize the contrast here on that edge. In the back, since we have round shapes here, I had to come up with a bit of a different idea for that. So that's why I'm going for that double highlight. And then some dark areas. And since this is almost a sphere, I'm also going to highlight it accordingly and also shading it accordingly. Right, so I think I established enough of light and shadow, and now let's see, maybe one more part layer here. Now we can go for the cracks. We out of focus? No, now it's okay again. And I'll zoom in a tiny bit so that you can see closer what I'm doing. Yeah, see, I think zoom on Facebook is for some reason only half of what is usually possible with the camera, but okay, that's fine. We will work with that. And let me get my color for the cracks. Never forget to shake your paint. But yeah, I guess if you're tuning in, don't forget to say hi, ask some questions, tell us what you're working on. Feel free to make some noise. Right, so I'll try to move closer with my super awesome magnifying glasses. They are about 15 years old, still doing me an okay favor. Not favor, but you know what I mean. And I'll just try to work with what we have here, so let's see. Find a good part to start. I think I'll just start here. Just painting a few cracks. Like we have armor that has been cracked open. Can also interact with a few pieces here. Hey Jeffrey. That's fine. Sorry you're at work and can't really chat. going for some larger areas, and then sometimes just a few dots. Don't want to overdo it. Yeah, again, the miniature is the reason why you probably don't recognize it is because it's been converted. So the helmet is completely different and resculpted, and I'm going to show you quickly. Once again, oops, wrong picture, I'm sorry, there we go. No, what's going on? Okay, here it is. So yeah, this is the resculpt. It's not finished. The eyes have gotten a bit more larger, so that we can paint some nice lens reflections in and so on. But yeah, that's probably why you don't recognize the miniature right away. Oops. Okay, having some of those lines interact with each other. And then some larger areas. And then some thinner lines again. Just mixing it up. And like I said, adding some randomness. Again guys, if you are interested in seeing some of that more regularly, you can follow me on Twitch. I do have a giveaway for all Twitch subscribers and all my patrons this month. Going to give away a painted version of Ixion Hill. So yeah, it's not a must to subscribe or anything. You can just hang out and chat on Twitch too. It's a bit more comfortable because there's a bit of a better chat there. But I just like to, you know, get the word out on Facebook occasionally too. So thanks for tuning in if you are watching for the first time, and also if you are returning a viewer, or maybe already know my Twitch stream. Alright, so sometimes a brush that has dried out a bit can be helpful here, since you will have stray hairs, and that adds some extra randomness. I got to find the balance here of, you know, with being too much or not enough, and again just vary it up and make it as random as possible. Okay, so I think that breaks up everything quite nicely. Now all I need to do is paint shadows and light reflections on the edges, and I'll start with painting the shadows. Just mixing it up by adding a bit of black below the upper edges before we get to the last and most important part, painting the lower edges with reflections. Okay, let's go for some almost pure white. And like I said, I usually don't use pure white, since we are quite high up. Oops. Yeah, you really don't want those be too broad. You want those lines to be really thin, because that will make or break the effect. Maybe a bit too much paint on the brush. It feels better now. Still some mistakes Again, if you have a wet brush or a damp brush nearby, you can just fix that easily. Okay, so like I said, it's a bit hard to see when the base color is already rather light. But for example, down here you can see that the effect is pretty good, and it gets more intense obviously in the front. And to make the effect could hardly be more different than the terrain painting I'm doing now. How is that? So yeah, I'm going back in with a bit of yellow and adding some black. And now I'm putting in some tonal differences. Like I did in the front, and that should tone down the brightness a bit just before we go in with the shadow colors. So for example here I want to have just a bit of a tonal difference. Just making it look like there's some residue collecting over all the shadow parts and the light parts equally. And it's going to take a few of those steps to make a difference, but that's again fine. I want to move slow and not overdo it. Okay, then I think this part we can just paint yellow as a whole. Yeah, some panels I just cover completely with yellow. Again, doing it a bit randomly. We send them in a white flat brush, just hiding the bits of blue foam showed through after the first pass over the cliff. I see. Okay, so because this is rather tiny and you're doing a bit of the opposite. I see. Okay, so again, for some reason Facebook won't let me focus in as much. Okay, that's the wrong camera. For whatever reason. Let's try it again. Zoom. No, won't let me. Only gives me half the zoom. But yeah, I hope you can realize what's going on there. So here it's maybe a tiny bit. Well, then again, looking at it off cam, I kind of like it. On cam, it looks a bit busy. So what I do recommend is sometimes just going for a bit of larger areas to start with for those cracks. Then you can focus a bit more on those edges and also the shadows, and it will look a bit more alive. So yeah, maybe I need to be a tiny bit more brave on the backside here. But yeah, it's just a matter of experimentation and what you want to achieve and so on. So one last thing, I'll take a bit of that pure black, not black, sorry, blue, and I'll do the exact opposite. So come from top and paint in a bit of a blue correlation and residue, just to counteract the yellow a bit. Again, using random patterns. And this is all to mimic the artwork, because it has that, it's playing with that contrast and gradient of yellow and blue, and just a tiny bit of green in between. Again, sorry it's a bit hard to show because of the zoom, but I think here you can get the idea. And yeah, after this I'm going to go back in and emphasize a few of those edges, like you can see in front, just so that we have a nice contrast going on back here. And once we are also adding once you're adding the metallic colors, it's also going to, yeah, to reduce the busyness. But yeah, again, if you're just tuning in, just give me a comment so I can say hi to you. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, so this is a lot of micro painting that we did here, and this is just setting up the base of the armor. And again, like I said, it is to mimic this kind of armor. I'll show you again. So obviously there's a lot less okay, there we go. There's a lot less of those scratches going on back here, but the color idea I did get from there. So the yellow counteracting the bit of bluish gray that comes down here, and then the medium green. And as I go up, I'll have a lot more green prevail there. And yeah, high up it's also going to be lighter. So again, we still need to apply the weathering, the rust and all that, so this is gonna be toned down a bit more. So I can show you, no, actually I don't have the color with me. But yeah, so this is what I'm going to do with the rest of the armor. And if you like this, again, you can follow the whole thing on Patreon, or you can tune in on Twitch. And both my Twitch subscribers and my patrons can win a painted version of Ixion Hill this month. So never has it been more lucrative. You get all the back issues of the videos and the PDFs for all my painted miniatures and my painting guides. For example, I do have a painting guide about Joker up on that page. It's 12 pages long, full of information, so also about information how to paint faces. There's a video about how to paint eyes on my YouTube. Like I said, there's a lot of outlets. Just Google Travarion and you find all of them if you're interested in that. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you around. Bye guys.